Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How you guys doing? I can already see the energy in the room. How y'all doing? I see we got some people in here. Charlie, what's good? Kato, how you doing? Who else is in here? Let's see who else is in here. Bakal, welcome in. Kato, what's good? See who else is in here. HED, what's good? Candace, how you doing? How you guys doing? I see we got a lot of people in here, man. A lot of people in here. Okay. So today, man, today is the day. Today is the day. Also, you know how we normally do it. Make sure y'all hit the likes. Also, say what's good to Marco. Okay, hated. Okay, I got it. Say what's good to Marco. Marco's also in here. So say what's good to Marco. I know a lot of you guys are hyped. I am definitely hyped. Trust me, y'all do not want to miss this live. You see the background is a little bit different. We couldn't do it in our normal spot, but we're going to be there tomorrow when we go live. So we'll definitely do that. Also, shout out to all the people that were on Dreamerspro Max with us. Shout out to you guys that were on there chatting with us last night. We had a lot of fun. Marco just posted Dreamerspro Max. He just pinned it to the top of the comments. So for those of you guys that want a live chat for Game 6 and the rest of the playoffs, make sure you guys go ahead and sign up to Dreamerspro Max and get 7 days of access. This was good from Inglewood. I see some people coming in from different places. What's good? How you guys doing? Long Beach, what's going on? Arizona, what's going on? I see we got a lot of people from the Midwest, West Coast. Anybody from the East Coast? Let's blend it in. I know we got people from all over the world watching too. So let's give it like another 2 minutes. As y'all have noticed, we've now have been. Hey, appreciate that, Marvin. We now have been starting the show. We've been giving it like a timer, like a 30-minute timer, whatever it is, and still some people still end up coming in late. Shout out for what was good from Chicago. Ghana was good. West Africa is here. Welcome in. Fresno's. Hey, how you doing from England? Greensboro. I think that's North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. Checking in from Greece. Wow, amazing. We got Greece. Palmdale represent. What's good? San Diego. Hey, Marvin, appreciate that. India. Wow. I wonder what time it is out there. Is that all? Is like Australia? I might understand it. Dallas, Texas, Grenada. Wow. Long Beach, Puerto Rico. Wow, Puerto Rico. Shout out to everybody from Puerto Rico. France, amazing. Singapore, Brazil. I wonder what time it is in these countries. Wow. That's amazing, man. Fort Lauderdale, I know that's Florida. Germany. Wow. Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Honduras, Compton, Seattle, Canada, Trinidad, Canada. This is amazing. Phoenix, Jamaica, Morocco. Wow, man. This is humbling, man. This is humbling for us. So many people from all over the world. Wow. Missouri, Eastville, California, Paris, Switzerland, Saudi, St. Louis. Wow, man. This is amazing, man. Queens, New York was good. Okay. Hey, Mr. Charles, DPM be lit. Let's go, please. Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, appreciate that. Ohio was good, man. This is amazing. Nashville, Nicaragua, North Carolina, Denmark. Man, this is amazing. Trinidad, Mississippi, St. Louis. It's amazing. Marco and I are just super, super happy to be a part of this group, to go live with you guys. ATL Georgia was good. Funny enough, I've never actually been to Atlanta before. I've never been to Atlanta. I've never been there. South Africa. Yeah, I never been to Atlanta, funny enough. I never had the chance. I'll definitely visit there sometime in the future. India, 11 p.m. Wow, that's late. Now, thank you guys for being here, man. Let's just give it like another 1 minute or so, and then we're going to go live. Let's give it like another 1 minute, and we will go live. Let's just wait for – just make sure you hit the likes, and then we'll go live. Let's give it another minute, and we will go live. Mr. June. Yeah, I got to figure that out. Hawaii was good. I got to figure out what they mean by this Mr. October and all of this. So I'm going to search that when we get off of here, because they keep calling him Mr. June. Now, I get it, June, because we're in June, but maybe Mr. October. Maybe it was somebody that played well in October. if I'm not mistaken. So we definitely got to check that out. Let's just give it a few more moments here before we go live. Let's give it a few more moments in here before we go live. Okay. Let's give it 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds. Fraud Rivers. Let's give it 10 more seconds and we'll go. Hey, how you doing, man? Appreciate that. iCard, thanks so much for that. We appreciate that. We appreciate that very much. Thank you guys for supporting us. As a small independent media company, everything matters. So we appreciate that. We're very grateful. Marco and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, let's get into it. I think we waited long enough. Let's get into it. All right. First of all, what a game. What did I say? What did I say yesterday during our live that we did on the channel? What did I say? Now, today I'm going to go off. Now, and let me say this, by the way. We got another video coming out on the channel later today. You guys definitely want to check out. And we got a great video dropping tomorrow that you guys do not want to miss. But let me just get into this right here. What did I say? I said it yesterday. I said during that game, although the odds were stacked against the Clippers, although they had just lost Kawhi Leonard, although Utah is a very, very difficult arena to play in, especially after witnessing game 1 and game 2. I think they said they were undefeated. I think they were undefeated in the playoffs or something like that. They had an amazing home record, and I think they had the #1 record as far as home record in the NBA during the regular season. But I said one thing yesterday. I said I don't trust the Jazz, and the reason I said it, I think I've been saying it over the past few games now. I said, hey, appreciate that, Just Blaze, appreciate that. I said that I've seen the Jazz too many times get flustered when small things happen. I remember Donovan Mitchell kicking the Gatorade crate or whatever it was. I've seen some of their players get frustrated, and I said to myself, I said, if these guys get flustered, they look like they kind of crumble. I said another reason I thought the Clippers were the stronger team mentally was given the fact that in game 1 and game 2, think about this. In game 1, the Clippers came off of a 7-game series. They go to Utah, which is a place that is virtually impossible to win. You go there, like historically, Utah is a very, very tough place to win. You go there, and you have an opportunity to tie the game, and you miss the game, and you end up losing the game by 3 or 5 points or something like that. Then the following game, the Clippers get down in that game. The Clippers fight back to take a lead. I think it was in the 4th quarter, and then they missed 9 straight shots. So I said to myself, if these two teams, the Clippers have shown that they can hang with the Jazz in Utah. That's what I saw. Then we go to game 3 and game 4. And what did I notice that made me say the Clippers may be slightly mentally tougher than this Utah Jazz team? It wasn't the fact that the Clippers beat them, I think, by 24 points in game 3. That wasn't it. Or it wasn't the fact that they beat them in game 4. You can lose. The Utah Jazz were allowed to lose those 2 games. The thing that surprised me was in both of those games, the Jazz were never able to pull it close. They were never even able to get the game within 5 or 3 points, let alone take the lead by 1. Think about this yesterday. The Clippers walked into that joint, and they were able to hold their own and fight. And I said to myself, for that reason, I don't trust the Jazz. And then I also said that the Clippers are the mentally toughest team in this regular season, given what they had to go through in the first round. If you come out of a tough situation like that, there's no way you're not better off for it. There's no, as they say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you better. And in this instant, it made you better. Think about the things that must have been going through the minds of the Clippers players psychologically, knowing that they just lost their best player. This was probably their best chance to make it to a conference finals or ultimately make it to an NBA finals, and you lose your best player, not even a role player, your best player. That must have been psychologically devastating. But I said to myself, I knew the Clippers could pull it out because they were the mentally tougher team. All they had to do was hang in there with them. That's all they had to do. Well, I got a lot I want to say today. I haven't even started yet. So, before I get into my analysis of the game, I'm almost there. What was another thing I said yesterday? I said this, and I've been saying it for quite some time this season. I said, people are living in the past. For whatever reason, people keep believing that this Clippers team is the team that was in the bubble. I've been saying it. That was 2020. That was a different year. Hey, Chris, how you doing? That was a different year. And people kept on feeling the Clippers are going to quit. They're going to quit. They can't do it. They can't do it. And I said to myself, that sounds like a lot of wishful thinking. This is a different team. It's a different coach. First of all, before I continue, let's talk about Doc Rivers. This is not even in my notes. Let's talk about Doc Rivers for a second. What is going on with Doc Rivers? What is going on with Doc Rivers? Doc Rivers basically made no adjustments last year in the playoffs. They lose. Then Doc Rivers said that if they think it had something to do with adjustments, we will see. Because Ty Lue was sitting right there on the bench with me. Well, right now, guys, Doc Rivers is looking bad. You can say it's Ben Simmons. You can say it's Joel Embiid. He's the head of that thing. Ty Lue is looking like as if Doc Rivers was the issue. For you to go down again and Ty Lue is playing, because it's not like as if Doc Rivers and the Sixers are playing against the Dallas Mavericks or they're playing against the Utah Jazz. They're playing against Atlanta Hawks, who are a good team, but no one is going to confuse Atlanta Hawks with the Utah Jazz. No one is. And somehow, some way, you find a way to choke that away? How is this even possible? So I don't even know what to say. Yes, Nate McMillan did a great job. McMullen did a great job. But I just had to touch on Doc Rivers for a moment. But I kept on saying, a lot of people are looking at this team and they believe that they're the team of last year. That's not the case. So going into the game, let's get into the game. Let me first of all start off with what was annoying me last night. Some of the people, okay, Candace, she was there. Candace was there. Some other people, I think Kato was there. These are some of the people that are on Dreamerspro Max. Again, if you guys want to live chat during these games, Dreamerspro, okay, Deuce Sedani was also there. Yes, yes, exactly. Thanks for that, Deuce. Deuce Sedani was also there. These people on Dreamerspro Max with us yesterday. And I said it. Let me just start off with what I was thinking during that game. People like Royce O'Neal are just ridiculous, man. What is up with people like Royce O'Neal? I just got to talk on it for a second. These dudes only talk trash when they are ahead. Candace will tell you. PG acknowledged Kawhi was the best player on the team. Then he said he knew what he needed to do and got the way. Absolutely. Absolutely. We were talking yesterday. Thanks for that, Candace. We were talking yesterday about Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal, I think he had an and one in the first quarter. He turns over to the Clippers bench and he waves bye. I think like talk or bye-bye. He was doing like this, bye-bye, or something like that to them in the first quarter. And I was saying to myself, where was all of this when Kawhi Leonard was? I never saw this dude. Royce O'Neal all of a sudden started talking trash. He started front running because when Kawhi Leonard was playing, I never saw Royce O'Neal talking all his junk yesterday. I never saw the Utah Jazz with all that swagger when Kawhi Leonard was on the court. So I was like, why are you poking out your chest now when you were ahead? But when you were behind, we never saw you. If you were so confident, why didn't you show your confidence in both occasions? I didn't like that. I thought it was annoying. I thought if I was Ty Lue, I would have subbed in Boogie and told him, hey, man, go ahead and snuff this dude. We're going to pay the fine, and we're going to keep it rolling. That's what I would do. Phil Jackson did that once. I forgot the team they were playing again. He just told, I think it was like Andrew Bynum. He's like, yo, take him out. That's what I would have did. Because you can't be talking all that trash. You know they're without their best player, and all of a sudden you feel bold. I just didn't understand that. That was the first thing. The Utah Jazz, in that first quarter, you can ask the people on Dreamerspro Max, They were shooting the three like something I have never witnessed before in my life. Guys, in all of my time of watching basketball, I've never seen a team shoot that well from the three in the first. I've never seen anything like that. I was literally saying to myself that I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how are the Clippers going to be able to withstand this? I didn't chat it, but I was like, how can you withstand something like this? Bogdanovich, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I have his name here. What's his name? His name is, let me get his name right. Bojan Bogdanovich. In the first quarter, think about this. In the first quarter, this guy comes out and hits 6 out of 7 threes. Royce O'Neal hits 2 threes. Donovan Mitchell hits 1 3. And Jordan Clarkson hits 1 3. They make 10 threes in the first quarter. And I said to myself, how are the Clippers supposed to be able to deal with it? Like literally. And I said to myself, if it was a weaker team that had a weaker mind, they would have thrown in the towel on the spot. I can't remember the last time I saw a team open up a game on their home court and hit 10 threes in a quarter. And you look up and you look that the Utah Jazz put up 37 points in the first quarter. And I looked at the box score and I saw that the Clippers had 36. And I was like, wait a minute. What? Y'all scored 37 points and the Clippers are only down by 1? I said, no. That's when I knew that this Clippers team is not the team of last year. Last year's team, they would have blown them up. They would have got the janitors to come out there and sweep them off the floor. It would have been over after like 1 or 2 quarters. It would have been over. They somehow still stuck in the game. Then, after they hit all of those threes, Paul George. Let me get to Paul George. Paul George stepped up. And Paul George, I think, is a French word. I think we have some people here from France. It was a French term. Carpe diem, which I believe means seize the moment. Paul George saw the moment and just grabbed it. Paul George he saw that moment and he grabbed it. Paul George, in my opinion, given the circumstances that the Clippers were under, given the fact that they just lost Kawhi Leonard, people have been making fun of Paul George. And let me say this real quick. There are a few people that are discovering our channel and have seen like the last Paul George video I did about him possibly needing to be traded. Thanks for that, Dusadon. For those of you that have been on this channel, y'all know I've been defending Paul George since he got to the Clippers. I was defending Paul George since he got to the Clippers. I was defending him. So for the people that saw one video and said, oh, this guy's trying to turn, no. It got to the point where I was asking myself, can this guy deliver? It wasn't a shot at him. And I said, should the Clippers possibly consider? I didn't say they should trade him, but it was what I was feeling in that moment. It doesn't mean that I wasn't supporting him. I supported him all this. All of you will admit that PG needed to step up. And boy, did he do it. Let me tell you something. Win or lose, Paul, given those circumstances, the fact that no one people did, but most people, I think if you polled them, 60 to 70% would have said he wouldn't have shown up, and he showed up. Big shout out to Paul George. He scored 22 points in the first half. Reggie Jackson, I owe him an apology. I think I've apologized to him in a video. Let me do it publicly here. Reggie Jackson, I was wrong. I was wrong about Reggie Jackson. I apologize. I was wrong. I was wrong. Reggie Jackson has proven me wrong. He is the right guy for the job. I thought that Ty Lue was making a mistake by starting him over Rondo. I will not, we did a video not too long ago, I will no longer question Ty Lue. I will no longer question Ty Lue. 1 second here. 1 second here, guys. 1 second. Let me just check real quick. 1 second here. Okay, it's back. Okay, great. Y'all are back. Hey, thanks for that. People forget PG is there's a reason Kawhi wanted him. Let me tell you something. This is from Bakal. Abu Bakar. Let me tell you. Thanks for that, Bakal. Let me tell you something. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I had my doubts about Paul George. I'm not going to lie to you. I had my doubts. I believed in him. I said he was always talented, but I had my doubts, and he proved me wrong. I believed in him. Yesterday, I said Paul George needed to get for 40. Even during the live chat, I said he could even get 50. Nobody would be surprised if Paul George got 45 or 50. He's talented enough to do it. But I was surprised given those circumstances. It takes a big person, a strong person, minded person to show up. They call Reggie Jackson this October because he did the same thing OKC with Durant. Ah, okay. I see. Okay. Thanks for that, Giovanni. Thanks for that. So, yeah. Thank you guys for that. So, back to my point. Reggie Jackson scores 10 points in the first half. Then Marcus Morris Sr., he comes in and scores 12 points in the first half. And then I look up at the end of the first half. I looked at the box score. Let me see it here. I looked. The Jazz had scored 65 points. The Clippers were only down 5 points. And I said to myself, how is this even possible? That after all of this, they're only down 10? Do y'all realize that the Utah Jazz in the first half, they hit 17 threes? They made 9 more threes than the Clippers. I was actually trying to figure out at halftime, how is it even possible that they're up? I was trying to figure out how to do the math. Like, how is this possible? How is it possible that they're only up by 5 points? So I said to myself, I said, listen, this is incredible. Then we get to the second half. And I had a feeling, I will not lie to you guys, I had a feeling that the Utah Jazz, they were going to fold if the Clippers put pressure on them. I had that feeling. That is all I was watching. I said, if the Clippers make it close with these guys, I want to see what happens. And that is exactly what happened in that third quarter. The Utah Jazz ended up getting tight in that third, and the Clippers ended up outscoring them 32 to 18 points in the third quarter. And that was the game. Marcus Morris Sr. was huge in that third quarter. He scored 12 points. He was by far the toughest dude on the court. Thanks for that. Who is that? Miss Ronnie. Thanks for that. He was by far the toughest guy on the court. It's not even about height. You see Marcus Morris Sr. walk past Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is as tall as a mountain. He's as tall as a mountain. But the Clippers I believe the Clippers had the tougher players. Truly, I believe that. I believe that the Clippers had the tougher players all along. He was the toughest guy on the court. And during that third, y'all know what I was waiting for? Do y'all know what I was waiting for? I was waiting in the third quarter. I'm not even being funny. You know who I was waiting to show up? I was waiting to see when was Karl Malone going to show up in the building. When was Karl Malone going to show up? This is why I say people can't take Stephen A. Smith seriously. Some people feel like we're bashing. It's not about that. Stephen A. Smith has been on the air for like what it seems like 20 years. But his hyperbolic nonsense has gone on for so long. Stephen A. Smith had the courage, to use Marco's words, he had the courage to come out there and say that this guy is better than Karl Malone. Thanks for that, Giovanni. Mr. October is a player in the Hall of Fame. Famer in the Hall. Reggie Jackson, who played for the Yankees and the A's. He had an historic playoffs that has never been duplicated. Okay. Thanks for that, Tori. Thank you for that, Tori. Thank you so much for that. He came out there and said that this guy is better than Karl Malone. Do y'all know how disrespectful of a thing that is to say about Karl Malone? Karl Malone averaged 25 and 10 for his career. He took the Utah Jazz to back-to-back finals and lost to Michael Jordan. The guy has a statue outside of the arena, and you said that this guy is better than Karl Malone after what, 5 or 6 games? Like, really? Thanks for that, Candace. Ty Lue put Rudy in the pick and roll out of position. He started to get frustrated. Yeah, he was out of it. Ty Lue did to Rudy Gobert what Luka Doncic did to Ivica Zubac. He pick and rolled him to death. And then Ivica eventually, you know, like in cartoons when your head be spinning, you be seeing like Tweety birds and stuff. That's what happened to him. He's not quick enough to defend on the perimeter, and that's what happened. So I was waiting for Karl Malone to show up. Really, I was. I was waiting for him. And in the fourth quarter, Reggie Jackson was just incredible. He was incredible. I've already apologized to him. For the people that are coming into the live now that didn't see it, I've made a public apology to Reggie Jackson. I was wrong for doubting him. Playoff P told Tyler before the game, I got us. That's what I love to hear. Thanks for that, Angel. I was doubting him, and I was totally wrong. And I'm happy to be wrong because this guy was huge. Then Paul George stepped up, and he scored another 7 points to finish the game. What did Paul George finish the game with? Paul George finished the game. Let me look at the final stats here. He finished the game with 37 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. He shot 54% from the field. 54. That's Kawhi Leonard territory. And led that team from the front. He had help from Marcus Morris Sr. Marcus Morris Sr., who y'all can see. Remember when I said it earlier in the season, I said I was so happy that they re-signed Marcus Morris Sr. when Lawrence Frank said their number one priority in the offseason was to re-sign Marcus Morris Sr. These are 2 back-to-back games. In big games, he scored 20+. Last night, he had 25 points. He shot 75% from the three, made 3 out of 4 threes. Terrence Mann put, I don't know what it is about the Clippers. I think the Clippers love putting Jazz players on posters. I don't know what's going to happen in the next game. It's like every day we look at the new Clippers game, some Utah Jazz is getting put in the rim. It's getting put in the rim. First it was Kawhi on Favors. Then Terrence Mann turned around and dunked it on the whole state. And I was just like, when you got a second-year player dunking on you, you know that the Clippers believe that these guys are not on our level mentally. That's a 3-time defensive player of the year he did that to. A 3-time defensive player of the year who just won his 3rd defensive player of the year award this year, and Terrence Mann dunked on him. I'm so happy that they did it. I'm so happy that he did it. And the Clippers totally stunned him. Paul George led from the front. I don't think, given the circumstances of what just happened, and Paul George walked into that arena, if you look at his body language, he looked so confident. He looked so confident. And he led that team from the front, put them on their back, and said, you know what? I'm going to redeem myself. And shout out to Marcellus Wiley. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. On Speak for Yourself. They asked him yesterday. He said he absolutely believes Paul George is going to show up. He was the first person that said it. He had more confidence in Paul George than I did. Marcellus Wiley said that yesterday because I heard him say it. And I was just amazed by that. For Paul George to step up, I don't think after this you can call him a pandemic. You can't. Given these circumstances, that was impressive, man. That was impressive. In front of all of those Utah Jazz players that were taunting him, like Joe Ingles, like Royce O'Neal, like all of these guys, he did it in front of them. Given the history that he has, given the fact of what happened with him when he was playing with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he went into, I think it was in Game 6 or something like that, he had 5 points. But this same guy to come back and bounce back and deliver and step up. Let me tell you guys something. If it was reverse, God forbid, if the injury had occurred to Paul George instead of Kawhi Leonard, I'm not going to lie to you, I would have felt more confident in Kawhi Leonard. Say it's a bias, but I think I've seen him do it before, so I would have felt more confident in Kawhi Leonard and the rest of those boys. But I had a little bit of doubt in my mind about Paul George. I know he had all the talent, but I've never seen him deliver in such a situation like I've never seen him do it. And for him to walk into that arena and deliver, That was one of the best performances of his career. Win, lose, or draw. People already expected Utah to win that game. You're already without your best player. These guys are they must have been emotionally demoralized. And for Tyronn Lue to coach these guys and get them ready, Ty Lue has been the best coach in the playoffs. I don't care what anybody said. When it comes to making adjustments and being a tactician, he has been the best. He has faced some tough teams. That that Dallas Mavericks series would have broken some coaches. He fought through it. And he coached the hell out of this team. Yanni, Kawhi had a baby boy a few days ago. It doesn't sound like Kawhi will miss the entire playoffs. He said it held. Well, yeah, I heard about that. Do you think the Clippers? Okay, I'm going to get to that. Do you think Game 6 is a must-win for the Clippers? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a must-win. I'm not going to lie to you. If you got lucky to make it into that asylum, it's like breaking into a house, a yard full of pit bulls, and you manage to steal their bone and get out of there without one bite on your back. You don't want to have to do that 2 days later. You ain't going to get that lucky, that fortunate. Now, you can run, you can bob and weave, but you don't want to get caught out there like that again. There was another comment that I just saw. Let me go back. Kawhi, yes, Kawhi had a baby. Yeah, I heard he had a baby boy. Listen, I don't know what the situation is for Kawhi, but I hope he comes back. I'm waiting to hear a definitive. The Clippers released some information on what his injury is exactly, because they're saying he's listed as they said there's no timetable. It's not that they said he's out. So I don't know if he's in this. I don't know if he's in the category of James Harden or he's in another boat. I don't know what it is with Kawhi Leonard. I don't know that, but I'm very hopeful that he comes back. And let me say this quickly while we're talking about it, since you brought it up. I'm going to get to that in a second. Let me get to this while we're talking about it. Your question. Okay, wait. Let me just. This is what you call leadership by example. Kawhi is not the vocal leader, but mentally rubbed off. I absolutely agree. 100% agree. Work ethic. If you're around somebody that works hard, it can rub off on you. You don't need to hear them talk to you. It can definitely. You can study people from afar. It's absolutely true. If you see somebody has a very common demeanor, if you look at the coach that has a very common demeanor, you can adopt that. It's absolutely adoptable. If you were the coach is always panicking and always a bit, what's the word? Passive aggressive or passive, or what's the word for passive? Not indifferent. You can adopt that too. So I absolutely believe it's something you can adopt. A great point. Let me say this anyway about Kawhi Leonard before I finish off my notes here. We still got some good time. Let me say this. If the Clippers win Game 6, which I'm giving them a very good shot to do, if they win Game 6, here's what I think the Clippers should do with Kawhi Leonard. Assuming he's not, assuming he could possibly come back. This is what I would do. I would let them win on Friday. Then I think the conference finals, if they win on Friday, let's say they lose on Friday, then they play on Sunday. So, okay, exactly. So the conference finals could potentially start on Sunday or next week. What I would do is this. I would let them win. I would sit Kawhi Leonard all this week, and I would even sit him for the first 2 games of that Phoenix Suns series if they advance. The first 2. Why do I say that? Because the Clippers dropped the first 2 games against, the Jazz. Then I will bring him back in Game 3. So you're giving him about a week plus, assuming this is not something that needs surgery. If it needs surgery, and the Clippers organization comes out and makes a statement about it, then he's gone. But if there's a possibility of him returning and it's not as bad as they think, because I remember Paul George said something for his return. That's what I heard. I didn't hear any of them say he's gone. That's what I heard. Because if you can let the guy rest, let him rest. Let him rest. Because I'm not sure if the Utah Jazz have the mental fortitude to walk into LA and beat the Clippers. I don't think so, because I think the Clippers are looking at them like they're really not that formidable. So let me get to the last thing I want to say here. I think a lot of people are surprised by the outcome of this game. I think a lot of people are surprised by this, and there's something I want to say. You know the reason why people are stunned that the Jazz lost. Do you know the reason why I believe people are stunned and surprised? This is the reason why. People are surprised that the Jazz lost because of what the media has been doing all season long. That's why people are surprised that the Jazz lost. I'm going to break it down for you guys. The media spent the entire year, the entire season, talking down on the Clippers. The entire season. The Clippers were the only team that never got to go home. Everybody else that went to the bubble, they got to go home. The Clippers, they're the only ones that had to stay in the bubble, according to the media. Everyone got to go home. The Miami Heat got to go home. The Milwaukee Bucks got to go home. The Suns got to go home. The Jazz got to go home. The Nuggets got to go home. But the Clippers, they stayed. And they painted this story of the Clippers that they were mentally weak, that they were chokers, that they had psychological issues every single week. They were psychoanalyzing the Clippers' mentality. Or do they have, or is their mentality like, I've never seen a team psychoanalyze so much as the Clippers. It's like everybody turned into a doctor on these sports shows. What is up with this guy's psychology? What is wrong with Kawhi? Does he not speak? Is it that he can't speak English? Does he not know how to formulate words? Have you ever seen Kawhi Leonard on a cell phone before? Does he even have a phone? Does he know how to work a phone? Can these guys the whole season was about their psychological shortcomings. Whenever they did lose a game, it was like the end of the world. It was like no team lost. No team has ever lost a game before. Then, to add insult to injury, to prove what I'm saying is true, they then threw out a narrative at the end of the season that said the Clippers were afraid to face the Lakers, and they showed a lot of psychological weakness. These are the things that were said about the Clippers all season long. They were always questioned about their mental fortitude or intestinal fortitude. That was the whole season. The Clippers beat the Mavs in round one. What did Stephen A. Smith come out and say? You got to show me. You got to prove it to me. You got to show me. You got to show me. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, you got to show me. Y'all got to show me what's good. Thanks for that, but you got to show me what it really is. You got to step up to the plate. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. And I said to myself, wait a minute. Of these two teams, who on this team is a multiple times finals MVP? Who on the teams? Who has the two-time finals MVP? Who's the one? Is it the Jazz or is it the Clippers? Help me understand. Didn't both of these teams blow a 3-1 lead last year? So what gives you more confidence in the Utah Jazz and Donovan Mitchell over Kawhi Leonard? You already know what I got. Y'all already know what I feel about Stephen A. Smith. I told you we got a great video dropping today. Y'all don't want to miss that. And y'all definitely don't want to miss the video we got coming tomorrow. Trust me. Y'all don't want to miss that video. So people created this narrative about the Clippers. And now, when they go out there and win, they don't know how to reconcile the things that they've been told versus what they're seeing. And it's the main reason people have yet to believe the fact. It's like people cannot believe what they're seeing because all of the information that they've been spoon-fed over the past 6-7 months does not reconcile with what their eyes are showing them. They've been told that this team is mentally weak. They're not tough. They're chokers. PG is soft. This, that, and the other. Yet the results say otherwise, and they can't reconcile the two. So what happens? Every single game they win, they push the goalpost forward. I read the comments. What do they say? Oh, it's just one game. Oh, it's just 2 games. Then when they won the next 2 games at home, you did what you were supposed to do. Then what's the next comment? They go to the Utah, they beat them. You know what the next comment is going to be? The series isn't over. It's always something else. Because they have to validate what they've been told. The Clippers have made fools out of people in the media. Even me at times. 1 second. Do you think Rondo isn't another bubble star because he had this? Well, that's a good point. We have to see. But Rondo can't be in the series because he can't shoot enough. That's why I don't think he's playing. Thanks for that, Candace. So this is what's happening. The Clippers won that game because they were the mentally tougher team. They had the better coach. They executed better, period, end of story. And what people are seeing is they're seeing more of what they saw last year from the Jazz. Dusadon, we win this. We win. It's the opponent's star. If it's injured, a star is injured, but we lose, it's our flat. Yeah, exactly. It's always something. I don't even want to hear about Donovan. At least y'all got your best. Kawhi is not even playing, for goodness sake. He's not even playing. So I think this is the problem that people are. It's not their fault, because the media controls so much of what we understand. And this is the reason why I think that people just can't reconcile the two. They're looking at the results and they're like, the results doesn't match what I'm being told. Stephen A. Smith, you haven't even heard from him. He's in his house, I'm sure his multi-million-dollar house, posting videos on his phone, talking about shout out to Paul George and all of these. Nobody want to hear from you, Stephen A. Smith. Nobody wants to hear you give props to Paul George. Nobody wants, because you never believed in him at any point. Nobody wants to hear what you think about Kawhi Leonard. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Instead, you should come out and say, I'm sorry for disrespecting one of the greatest 50 players of all time in Karl Malone, and saying a player that has not even been in the NBA for 10 years, and has not even made 5 All-NBA teams, that has not even won an All-Star Game MVP, that's not even been to a finals, for me to come out there and say something as irresponsible as Donovan Mitchell is better than Karl Malone, you should come out there and apologize for that. That's what you should be saying. But, let me guess, Stephen A. Smith can't apologize because he's always, or as he says, what's the word that he says? I got better things to do. Keep telling yourself that. Stephen A. Smith believes he's bigger than everybody. Charles Barkley had a point yesterday when he said Joel Embiid and these guys didn't want to speak to the media. He said, you have a contractual obligation to speak to the media. And then he says something very powerful. He says, the reason you guys are making all of this money is because ESPN and TNT are paying you all of this money. Why would they be paying you all of this money? Because the fans watch. So the minute you feel that you're above your audience, you're better than them, you don't need to answer to them. The same people that put you there. Because if people don't watch ESPN First Take, Stephen A. Smith and these guys are not on TV. You see many guys' shows get pulled off of TV. Hell, Stephen A. Smith had a show 10 years ago that was pulled off of TV on ESPN. They pulled them off. And you feel like now you're above it all. You're above everybody because I'm friends with Michael Jordan, because I can threaten Kevin Durant, because I can talk about Kawhi. Y'all saw how hurt Stephen A. Smith looked when Kawhi Leonard said he didn't even know he was being critical. He felt so hurt. He's like, all of this talking I've been doing, nobody's even listening to me. It's like, no, bruh, nobody's listening to you. Max Kellerman don't respect you. Molly don't respect you. Jalen Rose don't respect you. Nobody respects you. Because all you do is throw out outlandish comments. And when you're wrong, you want to get defensive and start cussing people out and telling them I have 30 years of experience. Calling out Kawhi Leonard, calling out KD. So this is what people are seeing in him. So for me, listen, the Jazz believed their own hype. They believed it. They thought that this Clippers team was the team that was in the bubble last year, forgetting that they too were in the bubble and they blew that a lead in the bubble too. They forgot that they were there. And they thought that everybody got to leave the bubble except the Clippers. The Clippers got to stay in the bubble. No, you got to stay, but we left. I hear people talking about Rondo. Rondo will be a key against it. Well, if the Clippers do advance in the next round, which I think they have a very good chance of doing so, I think that Rondo is going to cause havoc in that series. I think he's going to get under Chris Paul's skin. I think Patrick Beverley is going to get under Chris Paul's skin. I think Rondo has a genuine disdain for what's his name? For Chris Paul. I think Rondo is going to go at him. And I think it will be a great series. I also want to say this. I think if the Clippers make it to the last round, to the third round, the conference finals, I think they're going to give them the Suns all they want, with or without Kawhi Leonard, because there's something fundamental that's happened with Paul George. If you guys notice, Paul George has scored 30 plus over the last 3 games. That's number one. If you guys remember the live that we did yesterday, yes, I never forgot that Donovan Mitchell said we'll quit. Yes, I agree. Thanks for that. What was I saying? Paul George scored 30. Yeah, Paul George has scored 30 points over the last 3 games. The fundamental difference here with Paul George in Indiana, Paul George, this Paul George got help. He wasn't playing with Roy Hibbert and what's his name? Shout out to what's his name? Steven. It was Lance Stevenson. I think Lance Stevenson's from Brooklyn. Shout out to Lance Stevenson. He was playing with those dudes, Danny Granger, and these guys. On this team, he got some real help. And don't let Paul George find his confidence. Don't let him find his confidence. Because if he gets confident, he's going to be a very difficult player to deal with. And I'll tell you why. Do y'all know the number one play that made Paul George who he is today? In my opinion, Paul George fans will tell you, I think it was a moment that he had. People that are Paul George fans, y'all going to remember this moment when I leave it. You guys can tell me about it in the comment section. Y'all remember when Paul George was with the Indiana Pacers. He was still young. They were playing against the Miami Heat. And I think they were in Miami, if I'm not mistaken. And Paul George goes in there and pulls a dunk on Birdman. And he dunked on him so hard. And everybody was just like, whoa. Then LeBron James walked up to Paul George and dapped him in the middle of the court. And I think that was the arrival of Paul George, when Paul George says, wait a minute, I can be really good. LeBron freaking James just gave me a high, recognized me on the court. That means I can be really good. You're witnessing a second moment of that. Let me get to this comment here. Kawhi's done for the season. This sucks. We can make it to the finals, but not enough to play the Nets. I totally agree. Thanks for that, Carson. PG has already shown he can lead this team without Kawhi this year. In the stretch, he scored 30. Yes, absolutely. Yes, he did. In the month of April, he showed that. Yes. You better not let him find his confidence. I think what happened last night, I think Paul George is like rediscovering himself, number one. Number two, I think the coaching staff are understanding how to install confidence in him. They're like, yo, we know you're PG-13, but we believe you can be even better than what you expected. You see Chauncey Billups working on him with his handle. Now, he hasn't perfected it. Yesterday, he had 5 turnovers, but he's helping him improve his game, his playmaking. Am I saying the Clippers are going to go in the finals? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're not going to be a pushover. Paul George is for real. If he continues to gain his confidence, this is going to carry over. Whether they get knocked out this year or whatever, because going into next season, I think Kawhi Leonard is going to sit down and look at the situation and say to himself, if they get to the Western Conference Finals, for example, let's say they do that because they have a shot. If they get to the Western Conference Finals and Paul George is able to lead this team and perform well next round or whatever, I think Kawhi Leonard is going to sit down, look at the team and say to himself, I got something here. Remember, when Kawhi Leonard was recruiting, he recruited Kevin Durant first, Jimmy Butler, then I think Paul George. I don't think Paul George was the first person to recruit. I don't know the order in which he did it. That's how the news came out. If Kawhi Leonard sits back and looks at this team, looks at the coaching staff, looks at what they're able to accomplish without him, like if they get to the Western Conference Finals, I think there's no way he leaves. I think Kawhi Leonard can't look at a situation like that and say, you know what? I'm going to walk away from this. Why would you? Because then if he does, you got to ask yourself, where else am I going to go that I can play with this much talent, such a great coach, and still have all of the things that I have as far as being in LA, being home, being with his family, all of these different things. I think if the situation were reversed and Kawhi Leonard saw that this team just couldn't get through and Paul George wasn't performing well, I think it would be a lot easier for him to say, you know what, guys, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. No way I'm staying for this because I just don't see it working, and nobody will fault him. But if Paul George steps up and shows that, listen, I can really deliver. Kawhi, look at me. This is me out here. I'm the one leading this team. Look what I can do. I think Kawhi Leonard will feel a sense of relief and say, you know what, man, maybe we got something here. Maybe there's no need to leave. These are just my opinions. I could be completely wrong. I don't have all the answers. This is just what I think. And going into next year, no matter what happens this season, the Clippers are going to be on a launching pad. They're going to be on a launching pad. You know why? Because number one, if they make it to the Western Conference Finals, number one, they would have accomplished something I don't think the organization has ever done, number one. Number two, they'd have done it with a player that was ridiculed for the entire season last year. Going into next year, nobody's going to be calling Paul George Pan. Who's going to be calling him that? So he's not going to have to deal with the verbal darts that people are throwing at him. Oh, you ball, do this. Nobody. Who's going to call him that? Nobody going to call him pandemic. Nobody. And you can't come around and say, oh, he's turning back. No. There's no turning back. There's no going back. So I think Paul George will come back being more confident in himself. Because if Paul George plays like this, the Clippers are a very tough team. You can bring Stephen Curry, you can bring Klay Thompson, bring whoever you want to bring. Bring whoever you want to bring. Stephen Curry, a healthy Stephen Curry, and a healthy Klay Thompson cannot stop Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I'm sorry. They just cannot stop them. Klay Thompson is an unbelievable two-way player. Amazing player. He ain't better than Paul George. I'm sorry. He cannot. Klay Thompson cannot do what Paul George did yesterday. Paul George is breaking dudes down off the dribble without a pick. Klay Thompson scores with a lot of movement, a lot of deception. Paul George don't need none of that. Paul George can hit you up for 40, and 25 of those points can be straight off of ISO, stepping back, hitting threes off the like. I love Klay Thompson. I respect the hell out of Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry ain't Kawhi Leonard. Let's not get it twisted. He's great. You ain't putting Stephen Curry on Luka Doncic and saying slow him down. You're not putting Stephen Curry on Donovan Mitchell or LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Devin Booker and say go slow. He ain't doing that for you. He does some great things. He ain't doing that. There's levels to this. The best three players in the world are LeBron, Kawhi, and KD. Then you got everybody else. Those are the top of the top of the top. Then you got everybody. I'm sorry. Like, we're not going to do that. If Paul George is healthy and he's confident and this coaching staff believes in itself, I think they're going to springboard. You got players like Reggie Jackson and all of these guys. I think they're going to springboard into the future. I think if they don't change anybody and they come back next year with this exact same group, nothing changes. They have just as good a shot as anybody else in the league to get to the finals. The Clippers got so much dog. They made Jazz look like nerds, man. Yeah, look, Terrence Mann plays that are developing. You got Boogie on the bench ready to come off and throw an elbow if he needs to. Like, they got the perfect blend of players. So to conclude here, going into game 6, these are my thoughts. This is my prediction. This is my prediction for game 6. Y'all don't want to miss this. This is the prediction. I think the Clippers close them out on Friday. Here's the reason why I believe the Clippers are going to close them out. Because I believe that the Clippers have found a way to rattle this team, and they finally figured out how to guard Donovan Mitchell. Shout out to Ty Lue, yes. For benching Rondo, I agree. They finally found a way to attack Donovan Mitchell on the defensive side of the floor. The Utah Jazz need to make an adjustment. The question I got to ask for you guys is, do you believe Utah is going to come out in game 6, and hit 15 three-pointers in the first half? I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Clippers are going to look at the moment, look at the opportunity in front of them, and say to themselves, there's absolutely no way we are blowing this opportunity. Number one, to get to the conference finals and make history with this organization. But number two, to do it for Kawhi Leonard. There's no way I think the Clippers are going to drop the ball on this thing unless they just have a bad game. But I'm going to go with the Clippers because I believe the Clippers have the psychological edge on this Utah Jazz team. The Jazz have not even. Do y'all realize the Jazz, whenever the Clippers took a lead, they were not even able to get the game within 2-3 points or even take a lead in LA. They lost by 20 plus points, and they lost by 10 points, 8 points in game 2 or whatever it was. So I'm not 100% sure that the Utah Jazz can walk into LA and beat the Clippers by 10. I'm just not sure about that. I was looking at the body language of Donovan Mitchell, and he was looking defeated. I was looking at the Clippers when they were down yesterday in Utah. None of them looked defeated. They held their heads high, and they kept playing. They held their heads high, and they kept playing. I didn't see that from the Utah Jazz. Matter of fact, the only time I see that is when they're up. But when they're down, I don't see it. So for me, I'm rolling with the Clippers to win game 6. I think the Clippers make it to the Western Conference Finals. They make history. If they go play against the Phoenix Suns, I expect them to get at least 2 games off of them. If they lose, they had a great season. It's a very disappointing way, but it leaves a lot to expect next year because you can legitimately say this team made progress. You can legitimately say that. You can say that. Like you can literally say that, and they made some growth. And I think Paul George is going to be Paul George is going to play well. So those are my thoughts. That's what I think. But I definitely want to give a shout out to the Clippers because they played an amazing game. All of the people that live chatted with us, thank you guys. For those of you guys that want to live chat for Game 6, for the all-important Game 6, make sure you guys sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Marco's pinned it to the top. You don't want to miss out on that one. You don't want to miss out. If you guys want to live chat, make sure you sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Marco's posted it there. You get 7 days of access. You don't want to miss out on that game 6 because I think history is going to be made on Friday for the Clippers. And you don't want to miss out on that because I think history is going to be made personally. So once again, thank you guys for being a part of this live. We appreciate every single one of you. Thank you guys for all of your questions. Thank you guys for all of your comments. Thank you guys for your patience. We thank you guys for all of your support that you've given us. Thank you all for the super chats that you gave us. They go a very long way to supporting independent media. Also, please be on the lookout later on the channel. We got a great video coming out that you guys don't want to miss. And also check out the video we got coming tomorrow. Appreciate it. Thank you guys. Have a good one. Shout out to everybody. Thank you guys. Have a good one.